Dag allemaal, welkom bij TulipTV. And this is what's coming up this week.
Coming up this week on TulipTV, we speak with Fennigje Hinse in Ottawa. Katja De Bock visits a Dutch Koffie club, and there is another episode of Biking Through Holland. All coming up this week on TulipTV.
This program is sponsored by Dutch, the full-color English language magazine about the Netherlands and its people, at home and abroad. Canada to Leave is the online community for the Dutch living in Canada and the Canadians living in the Netherlands. Canada to Leave, wherever you live. Welcome, we're here today with Fennigje Hinse. She's working at the Dutch Embassy in Ottawa as a political advisor. Can you tell me something about the international political cooperation between the Netherlands and Canada?
Of course. Canada and the Netherlands are very close partners. We're very like-minded. Within the Dutch foreign policy, we focus on three priorities, and on those we work together with Canada quite closely. The priorities are security, prosperity, and human rights. So for all three, you can think of examples of how we work together with Canada to implement that. For instance, when it comes to human rights, we're very like-minded. We work together to support freedom of religion, freedom of belief, freedom of expression, also on the internet. An example of that was a recent ministerial conference that was organized in The Hague, and Canada was part of that as well. I work for the political department at our embassy, so much of what we do here focuses on our bilateral relationship. The bilateral relationship between Canada and the Netherlands dates back to the Second World War. Shared history, shared values, as we like to say. We owe our freedom to the Canadian liberators that helped fight for our freedom back in 1944, 1945. And since then, Canada and the Netherlands have a lot in common. It's a very special relationship. It makes, to some extent, our job here in Canada very easy. We're like-minded partners. We agree on many things. We always joke that also within international affairs, we can swap speaking notes, if you wish, that our delegations at, for instance, the United Nations are very like-minded. They have same messages and we agree on many things. So that's one of the things we work on.
And can you tell me something about how the political cooperation could be improved between the Netherlands and Canada?
Well, although it might hardly be possible to make it even better, an important part of our political cooperation would be bilateral visits. So, for instance, very recently in April, a group of Canadian parliamentarians went to the Netherlands. They went to the Netherlands for a week. They had meetings with their Dutch counterparts. They also got to be introduced to some of our priority sectors, for instance, within business community. And that gives them an opportunity to learn how our system works in the Netherlands, what we do, what our priorities are, but also they bring those stories back.
And can you tell me something about the special friendship between the Dutch royal family and Canada?
Absolutely, it's a very special relationship. The Canadians gave refuge to our royal family during the Second World War, and they took Princess Juliana at the time in and made her feel very much at home. Actually, one of our princesses was born here in Canada. I think many Canadians know the story, but Princess Marguerite, also sometimes called the Canadian Princess, was born here in Ottawa, and she has since then been back several times as well. She really is a champion for Canadian-Dutch relations. Princess Marguerite has been here in Canada several times now. Her latest visit was a fabulous visit in 2010. It was to celebrate the 65th anniversary of the liberation of the Netherlands. It was a great visit. She's always very, very welcomed here in Canada, and many Canadians came out to see her and to hear the story and to give thanks once again to our Canadian liberators.
This program is sponsored by Dutch, the full-color English language magazine about the Netherlands and its people, at home and abroad.
Hi everybody, I'm in very nice company here. I am visiting the Dutch Coffee Club of Vancouver. Annie, why do you come here every week?
Wel, voor de gezelligheid. En ik kom hier already van hoe lang? Misschien al van 1950 of ja, half in de 50 al. Ik was mee van de eerste. Er is niemand meer die het mee opgericht heeft, die zijn allemaal al weg.
Okay. The coffee club exists since the 50s already, I hear.
I would say that there were people getting together. I would say formally this coffee club came about in about the late 70s and early 80s when the seniors started to realize that they wanted an opportunity to get together and just communicate with one another about their cultural experiences back in the Netherlands and what it was like when they were a child in the Netherlands. And of course many of the Dutch that are here today experienced the war in the Netherlands, and soon after the war was over, many of them started to immigrate. My parents came in 1948, and they were one of the first that came, and many of those that are here today in this coffee club have come since 1948.
1948, that's just after the war. Annie, why did you come? You are a farmer. Were you already a farmer before?
Oh yeah, I'm born on the farm, yeah. And my husband, he was born on the farm, but they had 5 boys in the family. And Wim had an uncle here in Canada, and he was never married, and he said there was no room there for farmland to buy right after the war, so he said, I'm going to try Canada. So and that's why we arrived here, and I was going to go along, and I didn't know what was coming up, but we liked it right away. The land and everything was exactly like at home.
So was it in Richmond? Sorry, was it in Richmond already?
Yeah, in Richmond. And we couldn't believe it because when after 9 days on the boat, 5 days on the train, we arrived here. And then in the morning, we arrived at 1 o'clock in the middle of the night in Vancouver on the station. And when in the morning we woke up, and I liked it to go right away outside, and Wim too, what was growing here? Exactly like back home. Alles like stekels, brandnetels, gras gewoon, paardenbloemen. Het was allemaal hetzelfde.
And even broom, also brem and all these things.
Bramen waren er, ja, everything was exactly the same. We couldn't believe it. After 14 days traveling, that was really something. So we found it here out right away, and I had a job right away the next day already. 50 cents an hour on Gilbert Road, picking strawberries, picking flowers, picking potatoes, and I know right away that I was born and brought up on the farm, so, and I liked it to do that work, but I got 50 cents, and Wim was working on the tractor right away for Harry Blair, and he had 65 cents an hour. Wow. And later on, after a couple of months, he had $1. Oh. And then he started to drive a truck for Marple Woodyard, the dump truck for the sawdust. And he did that for 5, 6, 7 years, and then we bought, in the meantime, Westminster Highway already. And then I said, yeah, Wim, when are you going to quit with the truck driving? Because I was standing all by myself in the field, always working. And he said, well, it's okay, we're doing good. And I liked it to get first a farm and some land. And so we made it pretty good, hoor. And I was happy because the only thing was I didn't get pregnant. I was married when I left. So, and I took 6 years before the Adrie was born. Otherwise, I could have never helped Wim so much. And I was so used to that work, so we got never homesick. And I was always singing in the field all by myself, because I was in Holland in the choir for 12 years or 13. And here in the field, at home we always sang in the field too when we were working. And we did that here too, but nobody was singing here. And I hear myself all the time.
Wow, Adrie, so she
really liked it.
Yeah. Adrie, she must have been very happy when you were finally born. So you are a real Canadian then, born and raised Canadian.
Yes, I was born in 1954. I was born in Steveston on the property that very close to where my uncle had actually his own property. My uncle, or actually it was my father's uncle, I should say, Oma Case, he came in 1908 to Canada. And he worked across Canada, working for the railway, for building the CP rail. And he finally landed up in Steveston, and he had received some money from his family. And at that time, he thought maybe it was time for him to settle down. So he bought this 9-acre property on Gilbert Road. And at that time, you know, money could go quite far. And I think he bought the 9 acres for probably like about $300 or $400 an acre.
A good investment.
Obviously a very good investment. So when my father wrote the letter in 1948 asking if he could come to Canada, my uncle said, my dad's uncle said, of course, you're welcome to come. So he was excited, and he built himself this little chicken coop. And Dad, of course, didn't realize what kind of accommodation his uncle had. He figured that he had the accommodation like his own parents did in the Netherlands. When he arrived, of course, he was shocked to discover that it was a chicken coop that he had built. And he had converted it with a very small area into 2 bedrooms, one for my mom and dad and then one for himself. And he had a cat, but there were no nails or anything on the wall to even hang up a coat. So my father cried. He said, is this the way I need to bring my mother, which was his bride, to Canada? So, but anyways, they survived, and they did very well. So I was born in '54 with the help of helping as soon as I could walk, picking weeds and doing what I could as a child.
So as a Dutch-Canadian child in the 50s and 60s and 70s, you grew up, of course, going to school in Canada, speaking English. Were there any conflicts at home? Because I understand your parents spoke Dutch to you. Or was it very natural for you to be bilingual?
Well, it was very natural because, as you can appreciate, Mum and Dad spoke English, or spoke Dutch together as a couple. And so when they came to Canada, they were unable to speak English, but of course learned fairly quickly because Mum was introduced to a Dutch lady down the street on Gilbert Road, and she had come from Winnipeg. And my dad's uncle had introduced her and said, you know, if you go and talk with her, you'll learn to speak a little bit of English. And so that's how they started to learn to speak English. But the house mainly was always Dutch. And that's what made it different for us as children. We grew up in a Dutch family. And as soon as we stepped out of the home, then we were introduced to the Canadian culture.
We were just about the first one who arrived here, and most people say, go to Armenia and Wim, they always get a bakje koffie klaar and an eierkoek, and we received all the immigrants. And then we had that we didn't get a family right away. Most people all had children right away, and I could receive them all, and I was always happy playing the accordion, singing. We had always lots of fun.
Now back to here, to the coffee club where all of you are too. What do you do here? What's your main entertainment here?
Well, well, the main entertainment for the Dutch people who have come, you can ask them, but I'm sure that they would say, we want to speak our language. We like the gezelligheid, which I really don't think there's another word translatable in the Dutch language for gezelligheid. They like to talk about, of course, things about back home, their experiences as children, their experiences today in this country, and how they are living as a senior in Canada today and missing a lot of the cultural and wonderful experiences that they sometimes think they might have had in the Netherlands had they stayed. Yeah. But that's the reason why these coffee clubs and these opportunities for getting together are so important for the seniors, because it enriches their lives, it gives them purpose, it gives them an opportunity to support one another and to also feel what each is feeling as they begin to lose relatives back home and as they themselves are beginning to realize what it is to be a senior in a country that accepted them and welcomed them so kindly.
So Yanni, why do you come here?
My husband wanted to come. He was a marine engineer. Mm-hmm. So we came to Canada with 2 children, 8 years old and 4.5. And liked it, always did.
And I mean to the coffee club, what attracts you to the coffee club?
That is only 2 years ago, about a year ago that I came here after the World Cup soccer, and Holland did so well. I missed that whole feeling, and after that I came to the coffee club, just because of the soccer.
And can you tell me what what does the word gezelligheid that Adi mentioned, what does it mean to you?
Gezelligheid is very hard to explain. It is just, you feel at home, it's cozy, it is just nice to be with all people with the same background.
Yeah.
I was in Holland. I emigrated to Canada when I was 22. I lost all my family in Holland. I'm Jewish, so I had to go somewhere else. I didn't like Holland. And that's the reason why I come here. And I like Dutch people. I like the stories they tell us, you know, the bad things, mostly good things. So I came here, I'm married to a Canadian wife. First of all, she didn't want to go to us, but now she wants more than I do. So yeah, she's playing cards there. So that's the reason I come here every week. And I enjoy it.
I came here when I was 8 years old and with my family, number 6 of 7 children.
Where are you from? From which part of Holland?
North Holland in Hoorn. I was born in Hoorn. And anyway, I found I was losing my language, and then my wife happened to be bringing her father into the hearing clinic, and she heard some Dutch people talking. And she says, "Oh, you're Dutch," and she's a keener, you know, I want to be Dutch person. And so it happened to be, it was Christy who runs the coffee club, and she said, "Oh, you come to the coffee club." So since I've been coming here, my Dutch language is coming back, and so in October we have to go to Holland to visit my laatste tante, who's going to be 100 years old. So Marion is learning Dutch, and I'm bringing back my Dutch so we can speak to this 100-year-old.
I came later in life, or I was 46 already when I came here. So my late husband and I, we started a business here, and yeah, I love Canada. It's home.
I like the variety of people. They come from all walks of life. First of all, they're all immigrate. They come from different parts of Holland, but I always like the dialects and the certain ways they talk, and I just enjoy that, yeah.
Gedronken worden, hi-ha-ho. En daar moet op gedronken worden, hi-ha-ho. Zet een glaasje aan je lippen, voel het zo naar binnen glippen. Voel het gaan, ik voel het gaan, ik voel het langs mijn appeltje gaan. Nooit van wil.
Canada to Leave is the online community for the Dutch living in Canada and the Canadians living in the Netherlands. Canada to Leave, wherever you live. This program is sponsored by Dutch, the full-color English language magazine about the Netherlands and its people, at home and abroad.
Oh, and by the way, before we start our adventures today, I wanted to ask you the question of the day, which is, what is the name for Dutch wooden shoes?
Traditionally, thrown away by hand. This knife was used to shape outside, the entire outside of the shoe. And these are several sizes food scoops to take out the inside. It took 2 to 3 hours to make a pair by hand.
But now,
with the machines, just 5 minutes. So this machine makes the outside. It's the same principle as duplicating a key. This side, the machine follows the model. Knives cut out in the same shape. The Dutch name of the shoes are klompen.
just got done walking all around the villages here in Zaanschans, which we were telling you about earlier. And now I'm enjoying the beautiful weather with a typical Dutch pancake. This is the farmer's special pancake. We're at Restaurant de Cry, which also means Restaurant of the Crow. Mine is a mix of pancakes and vegetables and cheese and bacon. They sell all kinds of sweet ones that are yummy as well. So when you come out here, try Restaurant de Cry. They've got great pancakes and traditional Dutch goodness. Why would we go do something that crazy?
Love cheese.
We love cheese!
We're going to the cheese market now in Edam to try some genuine Edam cheese.
The real authentic deal.
So we're here in Edam and I'm about to try some genuine Edam cheese.
The regular cheese, this is the cheese, the same cheese with pesto, the smoked cheese, the walnuts, the garlic and herbs, and the goat cheese.
All Edam cheese, huh?
That's all cheese what we make here. It's not all Edam cheese.
And do you guys have a cheese that is the typical Edam cheese recipe?
Yes, that are the round cheeses about that.
Ooh.
The bigger round cheeses.
Those are beautiful.
Hi, we're here at the Edam Museum, which is KLM House number 20. This is a typical Dutch costume from the 1400s, something very specific to Volendam, and it's something that you would wear on a holiday or maybe Sunday to go to church. A nice outfit.
This is a fisherman's outfit that he would wear during the week when he's out shopping for fish in the sea. How do we look?
So we're lucky enough tonight to stay in the Hotel Spander, which is right on the water, and everybody says that it's the nicest hotel in town. And they also have a really famous restaurant, as well as a big art collection inside. It's almost like a museum.
This program is sponsored by Dutch, the full-color English language magazine about the Netherlands and its people, at home and abroad.
So these beautiful totem poles that we see here are constructed by the Gitskan people of northern BC. And the name of the Gitskan means the people of the River of Mists. I think that relates very much to the Dutch. That's it for this week. Don't forget, if you want to support us, go to our website and follow the links. I'm Katja De Bock for TulipTV. Have a good evening.